The whole 10-year-old fine.
Larry Brother, look at the red soul.
If you would look on the page that they gave you, you would see what we're gonna talk about.
I did.
So much.
If somebody doesn't approve of the agenda, what does that? That means that, well, I don't know everything first, but that means that, like, if you want, he's gonna approve the agenda, means that's what he's talking about. If he's not gonna approve the agenda, then he's gonna be like, oh, we're gonna also talk about this, or we're no longer gonna talk about this. So like, either take something off and then. It's fine. There's no way.
So 8th grade, remember when you guys had that first town hall?
Yeah.
And we were there, and then we had to make an adjustment.
No.
That was not part of the plans. Sometimes adjustments are made. And from there, there's another town hall coming up, right? Right, great. Sometimes, sometimes there.
8th grade. Oh, there was something wrong with this.
Well, you guys spoke up about what was being, yes, exactly, about prom and step up. You guys spoke up.
Oh.
So are we not gonna have?
So you guys are gonna decide, and the next town hall, because it's 12-1 is gonna be.
Having down.
And prom.
And stuff.
And we have a budget, we have X amount of money that we can use. So it's a very simple.
You see.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Sorry, with the ladies.
A bad thing, you know, like word.
That's the information you too. That was in the public library the other day. She said she owed you some content, so she sent it to Jenna. Oh, wait, or if you want me to like email it to you or just send it to you, son?
Oh, si tú quieres, just talk about it in the meeting.
Okay.
Échale, what's up?
And so we're.
Yes, man.
I remember your decorating.
They had
After that, we didn't get it.
Y'all didn't get a pay though.
That's why we wanna, I think that they met on Wednesdays and then.
And we had to choose between a prom, cap, and gown, and an end of year trip. They said,
Only one of them?
that should be for overnight trip. Because if we choose end of year trip, we're gonna get a step up. But if we choose prom, we're not getting an end of year trip.
We're just gonna get prom and that stuff.
No.
So
Prom
that-
and step up.
So there's
And
no.
if you choose cap and gown, you don't get prom.
What?
And I don't
So
know
it makes no.
Prom and step up are like the same thing, they're 1 and 1. So it's really between like the step up. And prom, and end of year trip.
So we're
I
not
was in
gonna
5th
have
grade, I
prom.
had cap and gown.
I'd rather not have prom and have
Is that right?
down and stuff.
So we're not even gonna have a prom.
Why would you want to
Step
step up if we're doing cap and
Even
gown?
if
guys-
there's one,
Now just have.
So when you meet in next town hall and in Placita,
Because what's the
it's
point
pretty,
of?
I think it's really gonna boil down to like what the majority decides. And also what makes sense in terms of the budget that we have.
So we
Then
can't
raise
raise to
money.
fundraise,
That's the idea.
because we can fundraise, me and my friends came up with an idea on how to get money.
We already just
It's already
said
organized.
that, oh, we can fundraise, but we can find it the time now.
So chocolates for Halloween.
You guys are gonna have to deal with next year, right? When we're gone. No, we're gonna have to deal with next.
No, cause it was only our budget that was coming to.
Yeah, but it's gonna have to.
It's every school where their budget got cut. Elementary got cut and the middle school got cut. Because of the high school. That's what Ms. Warner told me. She said that we had to match like the high school. So they got cut, it's every budget.
That I've been working on this year, that I'm learning about. So sometimes the way school gets funding, it's a little tied to attendance.
Mm.
So we also, attendance matters, not only for you guys in terms of being regularly in classes. And for instruction, but also for the school, when the school gets reviewed, they wanna see like, our students actually know the school. And from there. Are we allocating X amount of money for that school? So sometimes it all ties in. All of everything side, that's how many students are.
Yeah, we're dealing with some technical difficulties. The link on the Zoom said November and the meeting's today.
Oh, man.
Well, I want to share why they wanna open the high school with all the grades. And then open it, you understand? Like, you see how last year's eighth grade went to high school, or like the year before that, I forgot? That I think they should have waited until like,
4 years later,
yeah.
what would have happened to the tenth graders that are in tenth grade
They
now?
were one side different school.
There's no.
There's some young kids here with us, at least like 5, 10 kids observing the meeting.
But I'm saying like that year, should have waited until 12.
So we're gonna, I think we got quorum, right? Three,
Within 4 years.
Out of
it's
7.
12th grade.
no, we need one more person. What does that mean, that quorum? What does that mean? Every meeting requires you to have half plus one, so that business can be conducted. So like, if you want to vote for something, it requires plus one and half. Yeah.
Because that's when it goes from middle school to high school. I'm supposed to transfer this year actually, it's now later. But I might finish this year in downtown.
I'm saying this part. Oh,
El primer baile al revés. They stapled it.
I was supposed to grab one of these?
Yeah, because that's our budget ranking. We're doing that today too. Pásame uno de cada uno de ellos. Yeah,
That's it?
yeah. Hey, so Vlad, bro.
Yeah.
That kid.
Wow, bro.
First father-son duo to get to the Hall of Fame. That's gonna be great. All right, we're gonna give members, some members are running a little late, so we're gonna give them like 10 more minutes before we start.
Just so you know, this thing I looked at nothing tonight.
Okay, we got quorum
They told me guys, in the square because like we might have.
starting in another 2 minutes.
I call this meeting to order at 6:46. The agenda, we're gonna do some modifications. In committee, oh yeah, it's already there. Is there anything we want to add to the agenda before we approve it? Going once, twice. All right, to approve the agenda.
I'll move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Any oppositions? Abstentions? Okay, unanimous. So, elected official updates. I know we'll be having an elected official rep next month. And yeah, so with that being said, welcome, everybody. My name is Domingo Estevez. I'm the chair of the Youth and Education Committee. One thing we try to do here is make sure that we listen to the community, advocate to the full of our capacity. Every member here is going to introduce themselves to let y'all know what area. I feel like this committee, for the first time in a while, has people that actually like do things in the community and are putting in some serious not only advocacy work but change. With that being said, Domingo Estevez, I focus a lot on youth development. I have basketball programs, youth and various different programming that I do in the community that I'm not going to get into, but
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Stefan De Jesus. I work for the city government, so a lot of my experience comes from that. I also have some political experience that isn't necessarily relevant to this, but I bring it up anyway. The proud son of two public school teachers who now live in Florida, unfortunately for them, but more fortunately for
My man make me follow part one.
but that's sort of the experience that I bring to the committee and that I hope shines through in the work that we do.
I'm V Montano. Some of you guys may know me because I work for you guys over at School in the Square. Do baseball and softball. I have a nonprofit program that's in different school buildings where we do sports, but it's a holistic approach to wellness and health. Just like other board members, just trying to continue to build the community any way we can, and especially for the youth, make things accessible as much as possible. So you guys can, be on the same playing field as everybody else.
they're one of our fiercest advocates. I'm gonna let her introduce herself. Madame, you there?
Are you talking about me? Hey y'all, Tanisha Grant, Vice Chair of the Youth and Education Committee, second Vice Chair of the Community Board, and yes, education is my jam. So thank you all for being here.
With that being said, today we have various things on the agenda. We have a presentation by Matt Gonzalez from RJPS Education Advocacy, and we'll be discussing some of our capital and budget priorities this year. So this is basically recommendations we give to the city to be able to bring more resources into our community or alleviate something that's impacting our community. That being said, we're gonna go into Matt. You ready?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, let me I think they pinned this. Give me a second.
While you're doing that, I just want to kind of apologize to everyone that I'm like at an event, so I'm on my phone. So I apologize that I'm not stationary right now, but I'm here.
That's okay.
Y'all have
You're fine. We multitask. We do what we got.
I know you do too, right? But yeah, I'm excited to be here with y'all, and I appreciate the space and time. And shout out and thanks to Tanisha, my sister in justice here, for helping schedule the space.
I'm just putting you. Whenever you're ready, man.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm not sure if you have slides up or anything. I can't see from my end, but if you do, I guess you can let me know. And I'll just start talking. But yeah, I know there is a slideshow, and I do encourage you to share that with everyone. So my name is Matt Gonzalez. You see him, pronouns. I am a resident and a constituent of Community Board 12. I live in Inwood. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all. And again, you know, it might be a little loud. I'm on the street here, just making sure that I have a little quietness. But you know how the streets are out here. I'm with an organization, a coalition called New Yorkers for Racially Just Public Schools. We have been in community and action together since 2020. The coalition is made up of organizations that represent students, student advocates and leaders, represents parent organizers like Tanisha and Parents Supporting Parents. New York is one of our core members, as well as educators, right? Folks who are in the classroom and represented by most prominently the movement of rank and file educators, which is a caucus of the United Federation of Teachers, a social justice, racial justice caucus who we worked with together for a long time. And so we all came together in 2020 to convene this vision for education during the last mayoral election, to make sure that the conversation that the candidates have had or were having centered on the voices of impacted communities, particularly Black, Brown, immigrant, and indigenous communities across New York City. And so we put together a platform then to uplift the goals and priorities from the organizations. This was also during the pandemic, so we didn't have an opportunity to really go out and test this with the public. In this year, we decided, and I'll say just before that, we put forward a nonpartisan agenda, right? And so we didn't engage necessarily or get behind a particular candidate, but we wanted every single person who's wanting to be the mayor of this city, who wants to be the comptroller, who wants to be in the city council, to make sure that education is an important piece of their policy platform and agenda. So that, you know, we unfortunately, I can't say that we got a mayor that has done the priorities of education. Over the last 4 years, we've fought back persistent budget cuts to New York City public schools. You all may know, and you all may have brought this up. I'm sure Tanisha's brought up a bunch of the policy challenges and the rollbacks of important equity initiatives that many of our young people, educators, and parents had fought for under the de Blasio administration. So with this current election coming up, we came back together. We engaged in a process to articulate the key priorities of our coalition. And again, I'm not sure if you have the slides up, but if not, you know, part of the campaign was to articulate a platform for racially just public schools. There are 6 planks of that platform. Sorry for the siren here. I'm going to just give it a second. And those platform issues are: 1, fully and equitably funded schools. We believe every single school should be fully and equitably funded. We have fought budget cuts this year, and then we have been fighting at the state level for over 30 years that for fully funding of the foundation aid of New York City public schools. Up until 2021, New York City schools had been owed over $4 billion by the state, and that had never been paid out until there was a scandal and a governor resigned, right? So that was really a point. And then right when that happened, we got a mayor whose first act of business was to start cutting the school system, right? So we believe deeply that it's important to make sure that our schools are fully funded. The second policy priority is safe and supportive schools. This understanding that young people need to feel safe, supported, cared for. And that doesn't always include the presence of police. That never should include punitive discipline policies that exclude particularly Black and Brown students with disabilities. That does include things like having social workers, having counselors, having mental health resources for young people who are coming off of a really devastating pandemic. It includes investing in things like restorative justice, that we know there's evidence that this works to create better cultures for schools. So safe and supportive schools is really about decriminalizing our young people, right? So that they don't feel like they're going into a jail when they enter the school walls, and investing in the mental health, social, emotional resources that they need. The third piece of our policy platform is about addressing the severe segregation in New York City public schools. As you all may know, we're the most diverse city on the planet, right? But we have one of the most segregated by race, by class, by disability, by housing status, one of the most segregated systems in the United States as well, right? And that is not on accident, and that's on purpose, right? And we have not done the work to transform the way our policies manifest and create segregation, which is connected to the underfunding of schools in Black and brown communities, and to the proliferation of, privatization and charter schools in certain communities that specifically target low-income Black and brown communities, right? So the fourth plank of our platform is called Truly Public Schools. That's addressing the proliferation, the billions of dollars that are spent to privatize our schools, the billions of dollars that are spent on education technology, the emergence or the overtaking of our schools and policies with AI, right? Like our city has not, and our school system has not addressed and created policies to make sure that our data is protected. And we're also like in a moment where our communities are under assault by the federal government, right? Our immigrant communities, especially uptown Manhattan where we live, there's a tremendous number of immigrants who make our community beautiful, and they every single day they have to live it under the fear of threat by our public school system. And so if our technology systems are selling data, providing data that we're not even consenting to immigration and customs enforcement, that is a violation of many laws. That is a violation of our rights, and it's dangerous, right? So that's kind of the bucket around Truly Public Schools. The fifth bucket is called Engage Schools. This is, this idea that parents, students, educators, community members need to have a say in the governance of New York City public schools. Currently, we're under a system called mayoral control. That's been in place since the Bloomberg era. And that means one person, the mayor has total control over the public school system. The city council cannot make laws that address the school system. They can only do oversight. And so we are actually engaging in a fight to make sure that young people have a vote, parents have more voting power to decide what happens in our school system, so that it's not up to the whim of an individual who under the last 4 years, there has been a tremendous amount of corruption, right? There's been money flowed to friends, right? And not in service of our young people, right? And so they're always like, we ain't got money for books. We ain't got money for X, Y, or Z. There is lots of money in our school system. It is just being utilized and pointed at the wrong places because we don't have control as a community of our system, right? The last plank is culturally responsive schools, right? This is the acknowledgement of 400 years of systemic racism in the ways that it manifests in our public education system through curriculum, through school cultural practices. When you have young people reading about old white dead men, no shade to them, but we have a lot of different entry points of literature to educate Black and brown immigrant young people about their cultures, their identities. And that's that we need to make a commitment to ensuring that all of our schools are committing to teach all of our students through a culturally responsive and culturally relevant lens. And that's part of that last bucket. So that's the platform. There's a visual. We'll share that with you. And I apologize, it's not that we may not be able to see the visual of that. But so we took that.
We shared the presentation. It was printed out. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so you all hopefully can see some of those buckets that I've walked through. What I'll say is, because I want to really open it up for you all to ask questions. Before we shared this roadmap or the policy platform, we took it to New York City community members, right? We rented a van, we drove all around the city, and we engaged New Yorkers around. Good to see you. That's our state senator Robert Jackson there. So we engaged. We wanted to talk to 1,000 New Yorkers about getting feedback on the roadmap, right? So we didn't want to just put out this vision and say, this is what we believe. We wanted to say, this is what New Yorkers told us is right. So we talked to students, we talked to parents, we talked to teachers, we talked to community members. We drove around the city, we went to school events, we went to block parties, and we made sure that we had the feedback from community members on our survey, on our platform. And then we asked, what are we missing, right? So there is a page on that printout that has a word bubble of a bunch of ideas that New Yorkers told us they wanted to see in their schools. And so from there, that set of surveys, that public engagement campaign, we also decided to develop a comprehensive policy roadmap, which I hope they didn't print out because it's 60 pages, but hopefully there's a link that can be shared so you all can read the complete roadmap, right? Those 6 buckets I just talked about, they're a set of 24 policies under each of them that we believe need to be implemented by the new mayor. So we created our policy roadmap. We launched it on the 17th of September. So just recently, a couple weeks ago, we put it out to the public. We've talked to the city council. We've reached out to all of the mayoral campaigns. We've talked to the Mamdani campaign, but again, we are a nonpartisan activity. So we've reached out to every campaign to say, this is an agenda. This is what you should be putting forward. And we've only had the opportunity to meet with the Mamdani campaign. No one else wants to talk to us. And so our commitment is to make sure that our communities know exactly what we're putting forward. So I'm excited for you all to get to learn a little bit about the roadmap. Again, we'll make sure to share a link to the full document so you can explore it on your own. And then we're going to be creating more policy, more videos, more other resources for you all to think through, like what are the important issues. And we certainly would love the community board's support in whatever formation that can be, because we are asking the city council to sign on to this. And we've got a lot of champions, including our city council member, De La Rosa, is excited to partner with us on a number of the policy priorities there. And we are trying to engage, we are engaging with our state representatives to address some of the state policy implications. And we're going to, whoever the mayor is, right? We are going to hold them accountable to put forward this agenda, because sadly, in the 4 hours of debates during the primary, there was only 1 minute and 30 seconds devoted to public schools. It is the biggest budget in New York City. It is already facing budget cuts from the federal government, right? We've already lost $36 million in magnet school grants. There was, I believe, $70 million that were cut for federal Head Start, which is for the poorest children in our city to get access to early education, right? So we are already under threat by the federal government. We've spent the past 4 years fighting the Adams administration on many of our policies and the like commitment to fund our schools, to fund our libraries, right? And so we need a mayor, whoever it may be, is going to be committed to public schools, to public education, and fighting for them wherever the attacks are going to come from, right? And so I'm going to pause there and open it up if there's any questions. I don't know how much time I know I only have 20 minutes, so I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'm happy to share, and Tanisha can share my contact information. Our website is rjps.org. There's a bunch more information, and we are excited to be in partnership with you all. And I'm excited as an Uptown resident to be just at this space with you all as well. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Matt. They actually did print out the legislative roadmap, which is pretty cool. They did it in color too, so we'll have.
Dang, some trees got cut down for that.
No,
but
they did 30 because they did it back and forth.
Okay.
There's 30 pages here.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
It did, but usually, and Tanisha could speak more on that. When we try to support a particular cause, the way we do it through the board is through resolution. So if there's any area that might require resolution, that's something we could definitely work together on and collaborate.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. I mean, Tanisha, being Tanisha, right, was like, let's go to our community board, right? And we are encouraging the rest of our coalition to do the same, right? Because we want the Community Education Council to write a resolution. We want the Panel for Educational Policy, right? We want every entity of community voice to join this fight, right? Because we need to fight, and we need to win. We need to make sure our public schools are the priority in this next administration.
Because it looks like there's 7 legislative points, right? Which is the leadership NYC school deserves fully and equitably funded schools, truly public schools, engaged schools, inclusive and integrated schools, culturally responsive schools, and safe and supportive schools.
Exactly. And just thank you for kind of uplifting that first bucket, right? So right now we are also calling on whoever wins the election to create a community process to choose the next chancellor of our schools, right? So currently, whoever wins, whoever's the mayor, they just get to choose in a back room who their chancellor is. There is no accountability, there's no oversight, there's no engagement of the community in this process. So we are calling, which is something that districts across the country do. This is not a weird idea. This is something that in many other agencies in New York City, there is advice and consent around appointments, right? New York City Schools, NYPD are those two agencies that don't require that work. So we're calling for whoever wins the election to commit to building an inclusive process so that we can have a voice in who leads our school system, right? So thanks for Domingo for uplifting that.
Okay, cool. Does anybody have any questions?
Just confused, maybe you can answer. So at the beginning of your presentation, you talked about the campaign for fiscal equity, which won 2 major lawsuits to get increased funding to the New York City school districts, yet the mayor cut funding. So how does that get rationalized? And are there any mechanisms for the public to join in with your group? I don't know if it's to sue the city or what the mechanism would be to demand that money be spent equitably.
Yeah, good question. And so, the state is where most of New York City's school funding comes from. We get about 7% from the federal government, which we are going to lose some of that, right? And so after a long fight at the state level to get, and again, this was the former governor, not trying to be partisan, but now mayoral candidate Andrew Cuomo was the governor for the decade of time and refused to commit to fully funding our schools, right? And so there was a political fight at the state level. That fight was won eventually when Cuomo resigned and Governor Hochul came in and negotiated a new, budget. And so right when that money started flowing into the school system, the current mayor, Adams, said, well, we're going to have a budget cliff. So we got to cut every agency needs to, besides the NYPD and corrections, right? Every agency needs to be cut 15%. So he, in his budget, with the city council, negotiated a cut. I think the first year was a $250 million cut to New York City schools, and that has been a progressive issue. Part of the problem is that the only lever we have had is to hassle Eric Adams, debate, go find him and yell at him, basically, right? Push the city council to not pass budgets that cut our schools, and ultimately is to unelect him, right? And that's kind of right where we're at right now, right? So because the governance structure of New York City schools is that the mayor has total power, we don't actually have a lot of levers, and that's part of why we're fighting at the state level, because this is a state policy issue around mayoral control, to give the municipality of New York power over its schools. No one in Poughkeepsie and Long Island should have any sort of say about what we do in New York City public schools, but currently they have decided that they have control over this lever right now. So I thank you for the question. And sadly, the only lever we have is to unelect people and elect new people, which we are literally 3 weeks away from.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Kathleen.
You're gonna have to speak up.
Oh, hi, my name is Jasmine. I'm the president of S2. And I was thinking, how can we as students budget, get the budget up?
Yes. So beautiful question. And I love that young people are in the space, right? So our coalition includes students, right? So we have students who are part of our committee, part of our strategic planning, right? And they're helping us make decisions and guide our policies. There are a number of groups that are, one of them is called the Circle Keepers, Brotherhood Sister Soul, which is an uptown organization, is represented in our group, the Yaya Network. So I would say you can connect with a couple of the youth organizations that are building leadership and building advocacy, they're in the community. And then, as a young person, as an individual, you can show up to a city council hearing, you can write testimony. I'm happy to support you all as young people. Like, I've worked with young people to write testimony, to advocate for the budget that we demand, right? So there's a lot of ways young people can participate, and we are fighting to make more ways, right? Like, young people should have votes on your community education council. Right now, if you're sitting on a community education council in our community, you're just sitting there as decoration. You don't get to vote. If you sit on the panel for educational policy, which is the citywide like governance structure, you're just there for decoration. You don't get to vote. So like, you guys need to have access to power, political power, to make decisions, and we can also make connections with other organizations to do more advocacy, and I'm happy to help do that as well. So thank you.
Yeah, so basically is usually like youth groups take on a lot of the advocacy because it takes a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of these meetings, like, I don't know if y'all seen it like happens all the time, protests, right? Like, that's a strategy to amplify voices, right? Because historically, if stuff are not shaken a little bit, or if not enough noise is made, guess what? It just gets thrown to the pile. Like, okay, next. And whoever has, in the society in which we live in, the most resources, the most access to power, is going to get their agenda passed. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all boils down to that. So a lot of it is like, student government is a great advocacy tool, but then you got to see what strategic partnerships y'all do outside of y'all school, so it could be stronger, not just isolated, right? Like, y'all don't want to be the only school doing that. Y'all want to have 10, 20 schools doing that. It's a bigger impact, right? So looking for like collaborations, what type of partnerships, right? And you measure your partnerships by your values. So what are your values? And you align, whoever aligns with those values, that's how you partner up and advocate for whatever you want to advocate. Any more questions for Matt?
I have.
Yeah.
Hi, Matt. Thanks for speaking with us today. I'm Stefan. Two-part question. Just wondering what you mentioned that Council Member De La Rosa has been supportive of some of these measures and is going to try to help push that through. What has been the response from Sean Abreu's office, if you've been in conversation with his office? And second question is, what have the conversations been like with CEC, and what has been their response? I'm a little more interested in that question, to be frank.
Yeah. Quickly with Abreu, we have not. We're a ragtag operation, so we have not had a chance to meet with him yet. We're hopeful, and I'd have to look at we did a briefing with Education Chair Rita Joseph a couple months ago. She helped us get about 25 members in the space. I don't remember off the top of my head if Sean's office was there, but we will. And if there's any ways to help make some connections, we're happy to do a briefing for his office as well. And then in terms of CECs, one of the members of our coalition is called the Education Council Consortium, which is a group that's made up of CEC presidents who care about racial equity and education justice. So they are already kind of plugging into their local CECs. We are trying to draft a template resolution for CECs if they want to think about passing something. We will happily try to go and present at a CEC if there's interest in that. We have not gotten much momentum, mostly because the CEC elections also just kind of happened a few months ago, while the other municipal elections were happening. So we are hopeful that we will get some momentum. We have a few members. Particular one of our members is president of CEC4, so she's already working on a resolution, which is Eastern Harlem. And we have others who are trying to move resolutions similar to the community board at the CEC level. And again, this is to another point I was just making, right? The CECs are just advisory, right? Those should be, in the history of New York City and most places, those were governing bodies, right, that had actual power. The current CEC structure only allows for them to write resolutions and give advice to the superintendent, right? And so again, we want to change that up so that there is more power at the local level, so we can say, this is our community, this is what we demand. So yeah, if you have relationships or connection to CEC6, I'm happy to go do a presentation or share resources and start kind of building that momentum as well.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Any closing remarks, Matt?
Just big gratitude and thank you, Domingo, Tanisha, and the rest of the community board members. Really, thank you for your labor, right? I know it's thankless sometimes. And then all the people who are in the space, thank you all for listening. I'll make sure my contact information gets shared so we can connect in any other way. And if there's any other opportunity or desire for me to come back and continue the conversation, I promise to try to show up in person next time and be in the neighborhood. But I appreciate the space to connect.
Yeah, we would love to try to get some resolutions in. You know what I'm saying? So
Another template.
Yeah, identify some areas that we could push the board to take a stance on, like take a position on these
Right,
things.
and then
I love
once
it.
we, like pass our resolution, we'll send it around to other community boards
Yeah.
to look at as well. So
Yeah.
let us know. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
y'all.
man. Appreciate you, man.
All right, take care, y'all.
Next up, we got community connections. I don't know if folks, you wanted to present on something?
Well, I really gave you the information so the committee could look at the request.
Okay.
So essentially, keep it really short. There's legislation in Albany. It's sponsored by Robert Jackson in the Senate and Joe Simon in the Assembly to mandate what they call living civics for grades 5 through 12.
Yeah.
And basically, living civics means not having a school teacher standing in front of the class telling you what civics is, but having students actually participate in the process of governance, where you could change what happens at the local level. So for instance, we brought up, you possibly, developing a letter, about the budget and presenting it to the sponsors of equitable funding. Actions like that, when you really make a difference in what happens in your schools. So that, like, a lot of people don't know about the legislation in Albany. So we're gonna ask the community board if they would pass a resolution or a letter of support. And we'll also go to other boards around the city and CECs. So people know about the legislation and we can push to actually have the legislation passed. So you have a real civics curriculum and not be criticized for not knowing things when people are not teaching you things and you're not teaching us. No one knows more about injustice in the schools than students like you, because you have to live with the injustice.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a record short speech by me.
Yeah, so it requires the instruction of civic education from grades 5 through 12. This for sure. And we got the bill number right here, so we could try to draft up a resolution for our next meeting. Anything else? We're about to jump into committee business. So we're about to jump into now what we call capital and expense budget recommendation for the city. So every year, there's a certain amount of items that the borough president, I don't know if you're familiar with the different levels of government. So you got city council, right? At the city level, you got your borough president, you got your governor, you got your comptroller, and these are people who make up local office. In the state, you got the assembly, the senate, the governor, which was the state lawyer, what's it,
Attorney General.
the attorney general, you know what I'm saying? So each one of them have different powers within the structure of the state, right? So right now, we're providing input to the city's budget, which is what are some priorities that as a committee we would like to see. One is expense, which is under $50,000, projects under 50,000. And then the other one is capital, which is projects over 250,000. All right, so that's what we're gonna be discussing next. So before we do that, do y'all have any recommendations y'all would like for us? So before y'all, just to give y'all an example, so the recommendation we had last year was fund, school construction, fund the school construction authority tracker to provide timely repairs of infrastructure within District Six. Funding to expand, daycare centers, funding to expand three PK and four PK seats. And more funding for New York City community schools. Those were, some of the requests of some of the people that were here last year, and that was for capital funding. For expenses, last year, we did, establish a permaculture paid internship program in District Six and fund more workplace development programming in District Six. So that's what our stuff was last year. None of them got numbers, so that means that none of them were picked up by the city. You know, so you keep adding them until you get a number, which helps you know that the city incorporated it into their budget. Okay, so before we move on, you have anything? I know you said you wanted more money for schools, right? Now, the thing with more money for schools is it's very vague, right? Like you have to be very specific when you deal with city and state government and the feds. You got to be able to be like, I want X amount to make sure that the nails that are put in that are this type of nails, and you know what I'm saying? So you have to be very, very specific. You know what I'm saying? So that you don't say more money for schools, but yet it goes to, like, let's say hiring more public safety as opposed to hiring more counselors. You know what I'm trying to say? So they'll use your own ask to do something on their agenda as opposed to you.
And
All right.
If I could add to that, you know, like, and you're not expected to know everything, of course. The
Mhm.
expertise lies in the elected officials and their offices and state agencies and city agencies. So it's also valuable to us to hear what you value, what you want money to be going to, what you want to see more of in your schools, so that we're able to advocate on behalf of you and push the people in power to actually fund that.
Mhm. Or prioritize,
Or part.
you know, because we fund it as taxpayers.
Right.
The question, what helps determine what's picked up?
Well, what we usually do is, the recommendation is usually to try to keep it to a very small number, because since, like, for instance, last year, for capital, we did one, two, three, four items. None of them were picked up for funding. And then for expenses, we did two. None of them were picked up for funding. So if we're able to do one of each and then get it ranked higher by the board, then, like, for instance, one of our items was ranked number 42. You know what I'm saying? But one of our items was ranked number 7. Maybe we focus on number 7, try to get that to like a top 5 position and see how it plays out for next year. And then, for instance, and that's in our expenses, right? In our capital budget, because it looks like a lot of the high ranked items usually get picked up, not all the time, but there's a pattern. Like, we did 4 items. The top item we got was funding to expand daycare centers, right? So maybe that's what we do this year, you know what I'm saying? To be able to keep the, or we just keep the items the same and then just wait for next year and see what type of response we get. So that's something that's on the floor too, T. I don't know what you think about that, but yeah. But none of our items from last year's recommendations were picked.
Yeah, we discussed this, right? Like,
Yeah.
not it's being so wide. So we gotta
Yeah.
do that tonight, right?
Correct, because we have to submit it, because it goes in, I know, the budgeting process or the borough priorities are like next month, I think it is, or they're coming out soon. So that's why, but yeah, any other question? So yeah. That's the complexity of it all. So it's like you have so many fires. Now you got to look at not the fire, but what's causing a lot of it and try to hit that. Because if you go fire to fire, you become too reactionary and there's always going to be a fire. So looking at the main sources of these and looking for ways to alleviate, like what families, y'all got any small brothers and sisters, right? They go to daycares. Why should y'all parents be able to be like, damn, this is gonna make things tougher for us when there's resources out there to provide them more support with daycare services? You know what I'm saying? So those are the things we look at. So it's like, if we support daycare, like, so you can understand the logic, if we support more funding for daycares and more your families get those resources, that means that at the end of the day, in that family, there's not such an economic restraint. So you're more likely to have more resources in your family. You get what I'm saying? So that's the logic behind when we do things like that. You know, so there's more wealth in the household. All right, so before we do this, that's it. We're good. All right, what we doing? Yo, T, you saw them, T, or what she told? Yes, see it, right? So what y'all think?
We're looking at the same languages as last year.
Yeah, correct. Or we can modify it as well.
Yeah.
It's up to us.
If we could start with capital,
Okay.
if you don't mind. Because I know the tracker is something you had mentioned in
The tracker, for me, understanding how funding works, there's millions, if not billions of dollars in school infrastructure upgrades that haven't necessarily been done. And you're like, okay, this school got $1 million. How long is it gonna take to upgrade the auditorium? How long is it gonna take to upgrade the gyms, the classrooms, the bathrooms? So I threw that in there because that's one of the biggest pockets of money that our community has.
Yeah.
So if we're able to be like, yo, we'll start seeing more immediate upgrades within the school infrastructure.
Does that play into the scaffolding that George Washington had forever, PS1 and now?
It's that
Takes a long time.
You know what it is? It's like they go in there, they went to do a $5 million pool, ended up being a $12 million project. So until the project is not fully funded, the scaffolds is there.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll go into the pool, they'll fix it, and then find a crack in the base of the pool. So now that requires the whole you know what I'm saying? So you go from an upgrade to actually like basically reconstructing it brand new. You know, so like for instance, George Washington High School has 2 Olympic-sized pools now as a result. You know, like beautiful pools. I got to get a walkthrough of the facility. Is beautiful. What it looks like. But yeah, I get what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I always go after the money, because if we are able to push that money along, we'll start seeing more changes faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you think, T? All right. Yeah, she agrees.
Based on last year's language, I'd like to suggest a change. So for those that don't see it, I'll just say what last year's was.
They're right here. So
Yeah,
if y'all want to come get it,
And then maybe we can give
and then you'll see
as well.
what the rest. So one is capital, the other one is expense. You'll see what the entire community board, like the other committees, what they chose. So like Parks always has the most budget requests, right? You know why? Because we're the community with the most parkland in the city. Yeah, it's literally all around. You know what I'm saying? So Park always has the most projects.
So last year we have fund a school construction authority tracker to provide timely repairs of infrastructure within District 6. I'd like to propose we say similarly, but more specifically, fund a school construction authority tracker to provide monthly updates on the status of repairs, renovations, and all the other construction of infrastructure in District 6 schools.
Okay. Anybody oppose the language?
Suggestion. And if you'd like, I can type out. Some.
I take it as a friendly, but since we voted for it last year, can you put that as a motion to modify the language?
Sure.
And then a second.
Right.
And then you just gotta email me that.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so
Yeah, most.
waiting
Oh,
for your
sure,
motion.
I'll move to,
Modify the language.
Modify the language.
Okay.
Most, second most.
All right, so the motion's been seconded. Any opposition? Any abstentions? Okay, so the motion passes unanimously. So basically, the language has been modified to on top of the request for the tracker, making sure that there's a process of monthly updates incorporated to it. Okay, anything else? So as far as how does everybody feel about, are we gonna keep 1, 2, 3, 4 items? Or do we want to keep one item for capital? We have funding to expand daycare center and funding to expand 3 PK and 4 PK seats. Talk to me, T, because I know that's something you proposed last year. You hear me, T? So what do we want to do? Honestly, it's up to you. We can,
What you said?
so what do we want to do there? Do we want to keep it to one item and vote on the one item? Or do we want to keep all 1, 2, 3, 4 items in there in capital expenses?
And say whatever I can.
I'm a little on the fence of doing the 4 instead of the 1. I don't know.
Okay, so which one do you, from your take, what would you rather do, 4 or 1?
And touch my.
Which is the 4?
To me.
The 4 are fun, well, the new language, which he's gonna send, but it's basically around the school trackers and updates. The other one is funding, to expand daycare centers, funding to expand 3 PK and 4 PK seats, and more funding to, community schools, which is something that, once we get a new administration, I feel like we could start sending, resolutions, for that.
And what's the 1?
The 1 would be the tracker for school construction authority.
Which one do you want? We don't want to take a long time.
Can't
That's
put,
like, the what?
I said we can't put that all together?
What you want? Which one, Dolores? I'll take 1. Okay, who's doing?
I still feel like less than last year.
Yes, it's less than last year.
And I
Remember
feel like all them things are very, very important. So I don't know.
so we could
Whatever you
keep
wanna
it.
do.
It's okay to keep all of them, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could try, we have a new administration coming in, so we could try and we could send some resolutions afterwards, like in January, February, to temp check. Does that sound like a plan? Cause honestly, regardless, we're still 1, 2, 3, 4. We're probably like the committee with the least, well, with the exception of Wayne, and land use, they only always put 1 item. They try to focus on 1 item.
I think the good thing here is that the first one is directed to the SCA, but the others would probably be like DOE, right?
Yeah,
So.
well, not
Wouldn't that be,
necessarily.
wouldn't that be a capital for the SCA?
Yeah, school construction authority is capitalized.
Right. And then the other ones would be
I'm sorry, I didn't write any.
the other thing, right? It's 2 categories, capital and what else?
An expense,
Expense, right.
yeah.
So that would be our only one for capital.
Yeah, but I feel like everybody's agreeing with like keeping all of them and seeing how this new administration takes it up.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like one is for capital and then the other are for expenses. So it's
Yes.
still, you know, like a very small amount compared to what we usually do. We're only
Yeah.
asking one big ask for capital.
Correct.
Seven, that he might have been older.
So what we're saying is then go with the SEA ask for capital only? Are you okay with that?
I think I'm fine to focus on the one. And I think depending on the administration, most likely those other ones will be top of mind anyway.
Yeah, because it's the rhetoric for one of the leading candidates, so.
Yeah.
What we could send is a few resolutions to be
Right.
like, hey, we prioritize this.
Right.
Now the question is, all right, so we're saying focused on one, because my biggest thing is the resolution could reference like his campaign priorities are also our budget priorities. So I don't know if we want to touch them this year. You know what I'm trying to say? Because this document speaks for the priorities of our committee. And then eventually when the board votes for it, the entire board. You get what I'm trying to say? So it's like a double-edged sword.
If we stay with just one.
If we just stay with just one, we can't necessarily just reference that this is a priority for our community board.
So why would we want to say, like, what's the?
I just say we keep it to like the 4, T, honestly, and see how it goes this year. So at least when we send resolutions, we could reference like, hey, our community board priorities are these. And then if it doesn't get picked up, then next year we focused on one. Like that's probably like one of the best. So hey, Crystal, so we're speaking on the budget priorities. So right now we're on the capital. So we're debating whether to do 4 or 1. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. So it's up to y'all. I'm cool with both. It's just strategy over instant gratification. You feel me? Because it's like, while the strategy says 1, well, the instant gratification says 1, let's try it. The strategy is like, yeah, but we can't reference it then.
Which makes sense.
You know?
Then, right?
So even if it's ranked number 40 in our community board, it's like, hey, we could write a resolution, it's ranked 40 in our community board priorities. What you think, T?
Either or, however everyone votes, I'm with it.
Yeah. So final comments on expenses, what y'all think?
I'll cool with giving the 4.
I'm fine with that as well.
So it looks like 4 is the consensus. So could I get a motion to let me see, let me just make sure. 1, 2, could I get a motion to accept the 4 budget rankings for capital? Oh, okay. Anybody opposed? Abstain? So it's unanimous. So we're gonna keep the same 4, with the understanding that in February, when the budget cycle opens, we're gonna send a resolution about our budget priorities to the new administration. Okay, so now we're moving on to expense. In expense, we have 2. She's not here today, but I believe she was, yeah. So let me see the. Darlene is not here today, but she was a big proponent of the permaculture last year. So is that something that we're still prioritizing this year? So the 2 items that we have is establish a permaculture paid internship program in District 6 and fund more workforce development programming in District 6. So we want to keep or
Break down in a couple of sentences to yes with permaculture.
yeah. You wanna break it down?
I think you do a better job than me.
Let's see, man, let's Google it.
It's a nice pipeline to get into the workforce.
It's more,
I, so, is it according to nature? It's basically, yeah, like a sustainable philosophy for land use. So basically ecosystem that creates sustainable and self-sufficient system combining permanent agriculture and permanent culture. So it's basically creating jobs for, like, I don't know, under the former president, they were big on green jobs. I don't know if y'all heard of that, like making buildings more eco-friendly. Like that's why when y'all go to your building, y'all see that letter, if it's a C, a A, it just speaks on like the emissions or
The carbon footprint.
the carbon footprint. And what else?
Basically, you burn certain types of fuels. and
Yeah,
you know,
biodegradable status.
Fuels are graded from 4 to 1. So number 4 is the dirtiest, and number 1 is the cleanest. So what they would want to see is being able to have all buildings burn more number 1 than number 4, because that would be less pollution in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then there's also
Green
programs
jobs.
where they build community gardens
Mhm.
and urban farms. Some neighborhoods, they grow their own lettuce or their own tomatoes. So they could make that food available to daycare centers and senior centers at a much cheaper price than having to go buy them out in the supermarket. So that would be a permaculture issue if they created more gardening space and more urban farms.
Yeah, but it also meant because there's so much to do to be able to fight back against that carbon footprint, right?
Right.
That it would open up a lot of jobs. So
It's a nice pipeline.
yeah, it's a good pipeline to, while you're improving your community, you're also getting a good job in that process. So that was the logic. I believe Darlene was the one that presented that last year. She worked for unions, so her big thing is always like,
That was she was always on board anyways, but a lot of time with WIO stuff, 16 to 24, you guys do summer youth and then you kind of are just dropped off. What about the rest of the year? What
Mhm.
about being disqualified from the workforce so that you have training, can actually compete with other people? So
Mhm.
it's almost a way to not be forgotten about. So it's nice that you learn about everything. It's eco-friendly. You learn something about how to produce something for yourself, your family, and then you also can use that to go ahead into the workforce because we need people in trades. Like at some point, everybody went to college to do something and kind of forgot about some of the trades, but we need the trades at all times. So it's a nice option for 16 to 24 to get into the workforce, to train so that you have lifelong careers, not dead-end jobs.
I don't know, Chris. Thank you. She said it better than me. So, and then we have fund more workforce development program in the district. Are we cool with those two, or do we want to add more? So these are basically, now you're talking about the expenses less now. So we're talking about, it's not at the level of a capital project, which I think is 250 plus.
So
Anything else?
on the permaculture one, I have DYCD's response last year. They
Okay.
said they didn't support but can address it alternatively. And it seems like they're looking for connections to new employers and career fields that are willing to host potential interns. And they said to please reach out to the agency to talk through that. I wish Darlene were here, but I wonder if she had like a connection to any group or organization in particular that would be willing to sort of facilitate that with DYCD or something of the sort.
Yeah, because I know that the person that, I know WEACT is probably one of the biggest environmental groups up here.
Right.
But you see, like, that's the other issue, right? Like those responses, that's the first time I'm hearing it. Like we didn't even get those responses probably till this process here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And this is something that we could have brought the YCD to further elaborate. So that's something, Madam Second Chair, that we like should be raised in the executive committee. Like, if we're getting responses, why are we not getting updated on the responses?
Times that we can actually decipher.
You know what I'm saying? So, that's the response for that. Was there a response for the expense one, for, the school construction authority?
Yes, let's see if I can pop it now. What was the ranking on that one again? Sorry.
That was one of our top ranks. That was like number 10. So our top ranks are funding daycare and the SCA stuff. Which the board ranked that at number 10 and then the daycare at number 9.
What's weird is I'm not seeing it here. This is the binder they provided us at the new member orientation.
Okay.
I'll keep looking. I may have looked at it earlier because I was doing
Okay.
anything. And I think they probably denied it. But I still think it's important that we continue to push on that.
Yeah. Okay, is there anything we want to add for expenses that I don't see there?
On the SCA angle, I think you had mentioned last time something about a lack of like someone at the agency, you know.
So the response I get from a lot of administrators in the community is like, you get these checks and then years later, sometimes after these folks retire is when they actually get to starting these jobs. So like, the big thing is in a city where there's so many MWBEs and the city's not meeting its MWBE quotas, right? You're telling me a lot of them are construction, like construction companies. We don't have a lack of, so what is it? A lack of priority, you know what I'm saying? So that's something that we should invite potentially in this year's agenda, the school construction authority, to have that conversation. Like, why does a project take so long if the money's there? And understanding that agency to agency, the money moves easy. You know what I'm saying? So going from, like, let's say a budget office to the school construction authority is easier than going from a budget office, which will never happen, to a not-for-profit. Because they have to use an intermediary agency to be able to disperse that money.
Access funds.
You get what I'm trying to say? So that's the question of the century right there. Like, why is it taking so long? Like, what's the holdup?
One thing on the rankings, there's a little difference, so it's 11, the SCA request.
Oh, on this one,
The agency response, it's ranked 11 on the big packet, but it's ranked 10.
and right, inconsistencies.
So there is they actually say they don't support that. Their response was, agency does not support request.
That what?
It's an agency does not support and cannot accommodate renewed requests. So who doesn't support that?
The agency.
The DOE.
No, the school construction authority is its own agents. Oh, it was the DOE?
DOE is listed as the agency. Oh, what? I don't know.
How?
Yeah, that's probably a typo here, because on the binder I have, it says SCA.
Okay.
But either way, we should verify with the executive board that we're getting the appropriate response.
Yeah, like
but
they
then,
don't agree with it? Oh, yeah. Who would we refer that to if we don't refer it to them? That's a good question to ask, right? Yeah. They do not agree. Yeah, I don't agree with a lot of things my boss tells me.
Either way, I still think we push it. And then
Yeah, correct. As far as expenses, what y'all think? Are we good with those?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do we want to add anything? So just for context, for new members, prior to when I became chair of youth and education, it was like 20 items and none of the items ever got numbers. So the logic has always been be very concise and specific. And let's see, once we go out for a drink, because we got our first budget, it's right, because it's like the only ones that usually get it are like housing and human services.
Right.
You have public safety, you have, parks usually gets a lot, that are projects that have been picked up, but besides that, the rest of us are here just waiting for them. Thank you. You're welcome to come back whenever y'all want, all right? All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's our biggest thing right there.
Making this happen.
Bring them back.
That's the biggest thing right there, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do we get items to get picked up? Cause if not, we're just doing this for instant gratification, but to say we did it. Right?
I like,
No, please.
no, I like what Crystal said in terms of the whole, establishing permaculture and workforce as in like, I think summer youth just being a couple weeks out of the year, right? Cause what's 8 weeks of summer, maybe even less than that to get, what's the sense when we can have these children working throughout the year, right? How can we make that happen? I think it's something important.
Cause it's like, what's the biggest reason people commit crime? Sometimes it's the lack of
Absolutely.
resources, and money and being put in a bind. I'm not gonna say you justify just with that, but kids that have been historically deprived of certain resources and they're like backs against the wall. It's like, yeah, you could say whatever you want, but poverty is usually the biggest indicator of crime. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, regardless, you understand that if you put money in these kids' pockets, they're more likely to not overload the criminal the ink, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so at the end of the day, the logic is simple. We keep them busy all year. The return is better quality of life, right? And on top of that,
Citizens,
yeah,
taxpaying
yeah,
citizens.
you know what I'm saying? So
Lifetime taxpayers.
yeah, so that's just something to think about. But are we saying we want to change something like that, or?
No, I was just bringing up, I think that's solid, because I'm assuming that's what we're trying to get at here, right? Especially because she mentioned it about trying to have it, and Carmen de la Rosa having it more than just being just a summer employment, right? Yeah, I think that's important.
Cause WIOA contracts in general, when you sign up for them, they focus on the credential and the workforce. I'm talking about beyond that. What is the 5 and 10-year goal?
Yeah.
Because with summer youth, that summer, by the time they get their check, summer's over. But I'm saying, like, we're missing out on a huge workforce by just saying, oh, they're going back to school, or they was just my little interns for the summer. No, these are people just maybe do a credential over the summer, something more focused, geared to what they're interested in, or matching over into the trades like SCA, 1199, some of the unions. I mean, the unions are disappearing, but they still need people for right now. And New York is one of them, Philly's another.
Definitely. I mean, like, I employ thousands of youth pretty much throughout the year, and we see the difference where, like you said, what's the next step for them, right? And sometimes for us as a small CBO, they could be more growth there, but it might take some time, right? Because we're just doing after school programs or maybe organized recess. But some of our employees have been able to move on and become DOE employees, right? So now they're receiving benefits as opposed to, we're small nonprofits, still can, offer our employees that. But that's important there.
And on that point, I just got an email that they have released Compass.
Yeah.
So apply.
Yeah, I'm on it. Yeah,
because the next time they're gonna open up those RFPs, it's probably in 2030.
Yeah, it's a
2031, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the modifications that have been made to it now is you don't need necessarily to have a principal as part of it. I'm assuming that's a bonus, but you don't need a principal with it. You'll be able to do it without yourself, and then you get placed.
And it was nice about it as well this time around, because most schools have their CBOs already in it. So you're assuming, where do I fit in, right? From what I read, the language is that you can still, even as a CBO that may be Compass in there already, if you're offering kind of like a different program than they're offering, like let's say they do the whole, homework and then do an activity after, if you have a different spin on your after school, they can still find a way, especially if the principal wants you.
Yeah.
It says an added bonus, if the principal wants you, of course,
Yeah.
but they'll still be willing to accept you.
Yeah.
And, or, you'll be rewarded.
Something
is
to
nice.
think about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Something to think about, because at the end of the day, like, is needed. So expenses, are we cool with them, or do we want to expand? And if we do expand, I recommend replacing something. So like we could keep it for the first time. I feel like all of our recommendations were like, I would say like what, like top 50, which is, like we got a board voted number 7 for fund more workforce development programming in the district.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Now, the only thing I would modify to that is tech.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, as we talk about workforce and the constant evolution of the workforce, how do we see tech playing a role? So we don't have to get there yet. AI hasn't taken over everything yet, but it's something to think about, because the kids are using it.
No, absolutely. No, I mean,
so are the teachers, because I see some of them curriculums and some of them syllabuses, and I'll be like, oh, that does not sound like you, bro.
Some schools have even STEM labs already in them. I know PSA has a huge. They put in a grant back in the pandemic, and they forgot about it last year. They were just reached out. They reached out to them that they won the grant.
That's the school construction. Well, the school construction authority is the one that does the work inside.
Okay. Nice.
And it's 4 years later.
That's amazing.
All right, anything that needs to be replaced, or are we keeping them the same?
Well, I would, to Crystal's point, and to what he was saying as well, in the Fund More Workforce Development Program in the district, I would move that we add an amendment to that at the end that says including beyond summer months. Just to stress the fact that it's not just SY to P, it's, it's beyond that as well, right?
So whole year. One more workforce.
Okay.
I just had a point of information, you guys, I was at a meeting with the Uptown Youth Collective and DYCD came. And actually came asking us for help. Because when it comes to young people ages 16 to 24, who are not in school, not working in specialized programs to get them into the workforce, there's only one funded program in all of Washington Heights and Inwood.
Everyone has it.
So I think it's the WIDIC, Washington Heights and Inwood Development Corporation.
For real? Because I thought Whittick went out of business.
Not WIDIC, similar to WIDIC. So
Nimic?
Yeah,
Nimic, or Northern Manhattan Improvement Coalition. Okay.
So the only funded.
Maria Lizaldo.
So we need more fun because we have a huge population that's just left out in the cold.
Yeah, because some of the issues that we encounter, and I'm not, like last month we had to do from the rec center, right? The issues also, like, you have all of this money and organizations. Oh, I'm not pinpointing, I'm just basing it on the comment from the dude from Parks and Recreation. Is like they have all these amenities, all these upgrades, but guess what? No kids. So now we're saying we need more funding. Like, that's why I always say, like, before we could get on that conversation, there has to be an assessment of like what's being provided. No, it's not, well, if you have good intentions, send me your kids. It's like, no, if you don't have the kids, you shouldn't be getting that money. And that's just because that's the thing with poverty pimping and the gatekeeping that goes on around it, right? Which is like, you have outdated, not necessarily in touch situations attracting these kids. They go in, they leave, right? You got small organizations getting them, having more kids than the big organizations, but yet one is funded, the other one's not. You know what I'm saying? So that's the hypocrisy of what goes on a lot. Not just here, but in a lot of these communities, So DYCD, instead of like saying, come help me, they should be saying, well, we need to do an analysis of what we got and see if there's anything better out there. Because like that model of gatekeeping is not working anymore. What we're seeing is we're losing entire communities, entire generations, because people just don't know when to let it go. And that's the reality. You know, so when I hear DYCD, I hear them, but they're also part of the problem because they allowed the gatekeeping to keep going. So just putting it on the record. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, absolutely. Because we could ask everything we want. Somebody else gets it, and then guess what? You'll get subcontracted, but yeah, you got more kids than the contractees. You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot of the problem that happens up here. So when I joined the community board, it wasn't because of the lack of resources. It's because we have a lot of resources, it's just misdirected. Too many people holding on to doors that they no longer can keep closed at or be the toll for them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. But yes, we want more, right?
Always.
The accountability. built in.
Yes, because the same way we demand equity, the same way we demand processes that are transparent, the same way people have to be held accountable when they can't do what they're claiming that they do, just because they have good grant writers and powerful people on their boards. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not. We're seeing it right now in our communities. Like 2 years ago, you had an indictment of 30 kids from the community who were ranged from ages fucking 15 to 24. So you're telling me, like, yes, I hear you, more workforce, but what happened? Like, where is and I'm not saying by no way that organizations' sole purpose is to save lives, but it is to create a safe space that could save lives. You know what I'm trying to say? So, like, my biggest thing is that, like, while that doesn't fall on you, the space, the ecosystem you create will do that. You know what I'm saying? A good environment, a consistently good environment will create the culture that will fight all the bullshit that we're experiencing right now. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it is that, like, I hear it, but it's like, God damn it, bro. Like, there's millions being pumped up here, and yet we're still talking about gang violence, bro. Like, yo, bore these kids, tire them out so much that by the time they get home, the last thing they want to do is go outside. You know what I'm saying? Give them a job all year round to the point where they're like, damn, they're thinking about bills more than they are on anything else. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's there. It's just, what are we doing to properly direct these resources? And that's the battle that we've always, well, that my personal, I've been on a vendetta for since I joined the board in 2017. It's there, bro. The resources are there. It's just comes a time where I understand your salary, but you just gotta become a commissioner and give it up. Don't hang up the shoes, man. I always said it, like I always tell my boy who I started my organization with, like, if in 15, 20 years I'm doing the same thing, bro, I failed as a human being, bro. Because my job now is to everything I learned, help out that next wave of nonprofits that are trying to do the same thing and get out the way, let them do what they gotta do. And that's the reality of it. If you don't evolve, you fucking die. And sorry for the rant. But it's like, God damn it. It gets so tiring, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so we're good. Let's do we want to vote on keeping these up? I believe we have to put up a vote to keep up the. I know you have with your amendments to it.
Okay, right.
All right. So can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Or anybody opposed? Abstentions? Passed the unanimous. That's my favorite word, unanimous. All right, cool. So we got some work to do. The most important thing is, and I say it every year, when we go to a general board meeting and we're discussing the rankings, because every member is gonna vote on them, be like, yo, prioritize us. It worked, man. Look at it. Top 50. I see some 60s in here. You know what I'm saying? So it worked decently. You know what I'm saying? So just talk to them about some of our points. I'll have to write this up with Stefan's modifications, and then I'll send it to y'all so y'all can know what we voted on, what we passed. So like what are our expense items and our capital items.
Is the full board voting at the end of October?
Yes, I believe we get, so the way the vote works is we get like an Excel sheet and we rank them. And then there's like a formula on the rankings that then determines on each member's vote how, like, yeah, there's a formula in Excel that basically generates the number for each one. So that, like, you'll see, and by the way, when I said vote on it, I think I should have specified we're keeping the same ranking too. Or unless y'all want to switch the rankings, we could vote on the rankings now. Because technically we voted on the items, keeping the items. Now we could vote on the rankings if y'all want.
I think we should probably put on the rankings as well.
Yeah.
I would probably switch them. That would be my preference.
Okay.
I felt the same.
All right, cool. So we'll start off with expense now.
Crystal, do you have that? Oh, you have the sheet. Okay.
Yeah.
Just make okay.
Throw me that pen, Crystal. All right, how do y'all wanna rank, looking at expenses, there's two items. How would the committee wanna rank?
I would put personally workforce development first and then the permaculture internship second.
Does anybody disagree?
No, because it's proven.
Okay. Tanisha, did you hear what Stefan recommended for
No.
expense?
Put the-
So for expense, he's basically saying the board ranked fund more development programming in the district at number 7, so making that number 1 in the committee vote, and then making establish permaculture paid internships number 2.
That's fine.
All right, cool. So that passes unanimously. Now let's look at capital. In capital, we have as number 1, the SCA, as number 2, daycare, number 3, expand 3 PK and 4 PK seats, and number 4 are more funding for community schools. Do we agree with how it currently is?
Yeah.
Yo, T, do you agree with the ranking for capital? Please crack it up. T, do you agree with the ranking for the capital? Yeah, she's cracked it up a little. You heard, T? You good with the rankings for capital? Same ones? All right, cool. So the ranking stays the same.
Right.
All right. So with that being said, now we any old business?
Library?
Yes. D has the update from the library. He was in communication with the librarian.
Yes, so I spoke to the librarian. I was actually there the other day doing some work. I believe last meeting, community member brought it
Yeah,
up.
like a mother was
Yeah,
talking.
mother, it wasn't mother. She was concerned because the New York Public Library in Inwood does not have Sunday service, and all the other neighboring libraries do have Sunday service. So obviously, this is a brand new facility over at 4790 Broadway, in the Inwood area.
Who historically has had Sunday service.
Yes, so
Prior to its construction.
Right, so there is a demand there, and she agrees with the same, there's a demand there, there's no issue, obviously, the facility is brand new. Of course, the issue is funding, from what I was told, the reason that they're not offering Sunday service is because of funding, but for Washington is holding it,
There's one in 230th Street.
Kingsbridge, yeah.
So there's nothing in between for the middle point of the community.
Yes.
And there was a point in time when they did have Sunday.
They did,
Prior to the rezoning and the demolishing of the previous library, it was historically had Sunday services.
And you were having good participation.
Correct.
so now, obviously, there's nothing wrong with expanding outside of the Inwood community and seeing what Washington Heights have to offer, and maybe Riverdale, but it's a Sunday, you might want to stay local, why would you not have access to, the books or the community center that's inside the library? I've been there myself. recently, and it's a beautiful space. They have a lot going on in there. And just, sometimes children or even the elderly may want to go in and use the computer. They may not have a computer at home. Why would we not have some service for them? Especially the reason being funding. I think that's a great reason to not have a space open for the community.
Yeah, there was interesting enough, the comptroller found a fake budget crisis last year. When Mayor Adams said that we were in the best, the comptroller kept saying, I don't know where he got his information from, but the city seems to actually be in a surplus. That was that big commotion, and our councilwoman was one of the leaders that fought back against a lot of the cuts because they were pretty draconian, especially towards like education, libraries. So if it's bad now, imagine if those cuts would have gone through, how it would have probably been probably would have had one for all of Upper Manhattan. Saying so. Just trying to think about what I'll do though is I'll draft a resolution. I'll send it to the committee and they just but and then I'll get it passed through the exec. I dropped the ball there because I didn't have much time these last few weeks. But I will draft something up and have y'all see it before I push it through the exec. So we will be voting on this resolution for the next general meeting, but we'll just pass it through exec. That's cool.
So our resolution is gonna be like, we're asking New York Public Library and the city to provide necessary funding.
Correct.
Sunday service.
Is a historic site, especially after renovation. Like, so the language I'm gonna go for is, like after going through a very controversial rezoning, historic service that was provided to the community upon opening was removed from this site. We look forward to working with the agency to make sure that this important service
brought back to
yeah, cool. Yeah, so that's basically it, like just making sure that we bring it back because they historically had it. So don't say that after all these protests for the rezoning, you're gonna also take a Sunday service, especially after you make the building nicer.
Absolutely. You're just asking for equitable space, right? Just like the Bronx and the rest of Upper Manhattan has. So
yeah.
And we could identify too the 40+ block gap between
Correct.
libraries that do provide that service.
Yeah, so I'll text you D what to email her.
Okay.
So like that we could email her the actual locations of both the libraries, so we could incorporate that as to like the gap, because it looks like it's gonna be like over 40 blocks this way and over 30 blocks north. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So from Dykeman to 230th is approximately like 30 something blocks, and then it's gonna be like another 60. Yeah, it's like another 60 blocks from here, because it's in the lower 60s. So
yeah.
Cool. All right, any new business?
I mean, I think you brought up the opportunity of the Compass, right? Like,
oh yeah, Compass. That's something if y'all interested in, I could email DYCD to try to get somebody to but it opens up the 19th, right? I think
it's open already. It's
one of them.
November
There's 2
is due. That's pretty soon.
Okay. Yeah, we're not gonna really have time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I just saw it like last week.
Yeah, it just opened up last week. They've been.
I don't believe in. By the way, I don't believe in this happening during election years, bro. Because what this does is it puts a lot of buddies that on your way out you leave a lot of buddies. You know what I'm saying? So that was why I was hesitant. You got a sports grant out right now too. All these good grants are coming out and RFPs are coming out now as there's about to be a transition in administration.
So that was interesting too, because it was due on Tuesday, but supposedly it glitched. So now it's due tomorrow.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So you have to repeat whatever answers you put in on Tuesday, you have to repeat it. Now again, if you even caught that.
Yeah.
Because I happened to catch it as I was doing work in the public library, and I noticed, that why they sent around 4. And when I reached out, sent an email to them, the reply back was there was a glitch inside Passport. So here's the rules, here's the instructions how to redo the same answer you submitted, which was kind of interesting to me.
So again, right? Oh, they're gonna leave with a bang. So with that being said, anything else? Can I get a motion?
To adjourn.
Or-
Let's go home.
Absolutely. Giants play the Eagles.
Anybody opposed? Abstentions? Thank you all for joining us. It was pretty cool to have the kids today, right? He said he's gonna be back next month. Yeah, that's the student government, for a school cat, S2.
School in the square.
Yeah,
The middle school one that's right here on Wadsworth. Yeah, Wadsworth.
yeah,
And Ivan Ruiz, he does a lot of good work with the children there, so it was good to see them there.
yeah. So thank you all for joining us and see you next month.